we've kind of flipped the switch here. We have our team that are still doing that, working with operators every day, doing this stuff, giving them a voice at the bottom. But then now we've come in over the top at the corporate level, where we are kind of thing. And one of the things that's happened in the last probably 12 months, we've kind of been trying to pioneer this standalone program through Australia where they separate access out of projects and maintenance to have a standalone kind of thought. So we've successfully got a contract. We haven't exercised a lot of that contract with the major one in Brisbane to sit across our whole business, whether it's planning, engineering, design, so that all these tier one engineering companies and construction companies, we're checking what they're doing. So what's going into these fixed assets for the next 30 years, so we make sure it is right, because even though they've followed kind of standards and all this stuff, it doesn't work. Like you're talking, there's no practical experience in the design where there should be. We're just bridging that gap. The guys, the engineers, are doing the right thing. The operators have to do this side of the way, and we're sort of kind of bridging this gap. But influencing, I think, the hardest thing about this is awareness.
Welcome to the Find Your Influence podcast with Anton Guinea, where we unpack all things influence and we help leaders particularly find their influence by talking to amazing humans and finding out what influence means to them, who they've been influenced by and who they have influenced. And this podcast episode is proudly sponsored by Les Moyer. Les is the founder of No Limits to Success. Well, welcome to the Find Your Influence podcast with Anton Guinea, where we have amazing conversations with amazing humans on an amazing topic of influence, which is a big topic, and it's one that probably some people would find hard to define. I think if you really ask yourself, what is influence and how do you influence others? And I ask those big questions to amazing humans like Paul Harazim. Now, Paul is a seasoned Australian business leader, an industrial safety innovator, and you're going to love the work that Paul does. I do love the work that Paul does, but I've got an industry background. Dedicated to making workplaces safer and more efficient, particularly in sectors involving utility networks, water particularly, I think is one of Paul's real target markets, transport, logistics, and heavy industry. Based on the Gold Coast, Queensland, Paul spent more than a decade driving innovation in industrial equipment supply. And when you listen to Paul talk, and if we get into any of the work that Paul does, which I'd love to, there's a whole lot of work around access infrastructure, safety and freight solutions, which makes life easier for workers out there and makes life safer for workers. Everyone knows that I've got a safety background. I've been safety consulting for the better part of 2 decades. And for me, when I hear people doing really key design safety work, big deal. Paul's the managing director of Mass Products, a leading Australian supplier of commercial and industrial equipment focused on safe access infrastructure for water and wastewater utilities. At Mass Products, he leads the design, manufacture and distribution of engineered safety solutions such as aluminium access covers, safety gates, manhole lifting equipment, fixed access systems, and other systems that improve safety and compliance for workers interacting with critical infrastructure. Really, really, really important work. And I'd love to know from Paul how many lives he saved. Under Paul's leadership, Mass Products also offers consulting, important, design, and project-specific solutions that help utilities and contractors reduce risk, cut cost, and streamline maintenance work across complex networks. In addition to his role at Mass Products, Paul's the founder of RoadPod, a Gold Coast-based company that's developed an innovative containerized transport system designed to improve efficiency and safety in freight operations. RoadPod's patented pod system allows freight to be loaded at ground level and secured before being placed on truck bodies. Safe, significantly reducing risks associated with traditional loading methods and boosting operational productivity. Please welcome Paul Harazim to our podcast. Paul, what did I forget, mate, out of all of that?
Mate, I think you summed it up. I don't think we need to go any further. Thanks, Anton. you've done more research on me than I know about myself at the moment. So,
Mate, and I'm going to thank Deb for that.
well done, mate. I think thanks for having me on your podcast. I appreciate it, and it's kind of nice to get out a message, and especially we were both in the safety industry. Now, we never set out to be the safety experts, but it kind of, when you can add that kind of efficiency and safety in the same sentence, that's when that kind of excites me, because the world went crazy with safety. We came with, a lot of paperwork, administrative controls, and we're kind of really enjoying disrupting the industry and pioneering the change where we're taking away all of this bureaucracy, red tape, paperwork. It doesn't need to happen. So it's like we're building kind of this, what you're supposed to be doing is over here, what they're actually doing over here. And then we're building this thing in the middle called the complacency barrier, where people can be complacent. They can be, we're all human beings. We do make mistakes, but if you can add that to doing the right thing and being complacent at the same time, you're winning. So it's kind of, that's what we do. So thank you for the introduction.
Mate, great to have you. Because when we spoke, you've really struck a chord with me. Not long after you and I met at a conference in the States, I caught up with the CEO here of, our local water board, an amazing human. And you told me over there that, they're a client of yours as well. And for me personally, that's just one of the contacts that I've got locally in industry, because my background is industry, Paul, and I had a bad workplace incident, which I probably shared. And so I love hearing from people like you. It really, really talks to my, I suppose, drive, my values when you say that you're reducing complacency because you're going to save lives. Because a lot of my network is industrial, mate. Very quickly, can you just share a little bit more of that? Just like, what's it really mean to you to design something that's maintainable, that's operable, and that saves lives all at the same time?
Mate, when we go out to, there's two things here. I'm going to talk about two different industries, and when you're talking the water industry, the other day I went to a safety industry briefing. It's with the largest utility business in Queensland, which is Urban Utilities. You speak to, that they brought me into the mix with the kind of bringing me into their presentations. This is the, the kind of executives in that kind of water authority. One of the things that, you kind of, what these guys have to deal with, and I don't know who's in this audience with the airtime, but they're guys that I hope this gets to a lot of CEOs and stuff, like you said, the water board. There's such a disconnection from their management through to the actual people doing stuff, into the, like, things like maintenance, right through to the engineering team, right through to corporate governance, through to execs. So I would say, putting everything aside, we solve all these problems and doing stuff, but we're bridging the gap between people actually doing the work and people that are designing and building some of the work. So we've become this kind of communication company where we're almost a counseling company in both. So if you're talking road pod, you're talking truck drivers that have to climb on the back of their trucks, and there's depots and all complex loads. It's heavy, it's dangerous, and all the other stuff. And all the guys out in the field maintaining all that critical infrastructure for our cities and towns. Like, if you saw some of the places these guys had to work, number one, they're not legal to work in. Like, we can tear it to pieces through safety and compliance, but then in the environment they're in, you're talking wastewater. But after we've gone and refurbed an asset for them, they smile. They actually do the work. Like, they go, oh, this is they just go and maintain our critical infrastructure. Like when you go out to some of these assets, and this is a whole water industry, our predecessors didn't do a very good job of maintaining this stuff. So we're here now trying to go, oh, let's go and fix this stuff, and we don't have a budget, we don't have this money, we don't have this, and sorry, you can't say that anymore. Like it's a government asset. They've got a corporate, kind of obligation to provide a safe place to work. So when I say safe, I'm not sitting here saying 500 administrative controls and a bunch of paperwork. I'm just saying, give them a set of stairs they can walk up and they know they're not going to fall down. That's it.
Nice. No, I like it.
When we've got these aging assets right across Australia, and I'm talking water industry now, we'll get away from the road pod thing, and we have the tools. Everything we've done and we've designed and manufactured and engineered has come from operations. We've got engineers. I've got an office full of engineers on the other side of the building. They make things happen. They make sure they're compliant. They make sure that they function and it works and do all that stuff and check, and they're doing R&D and stuff. But they always go back to the operators and go, does this work? Yes, it does. No, it doesn't. We adjust it. So everything we've done is kind of operator led, and then now we're bridging the gap between engineering and operations, where engineers are talking to these guys of how they work around these assets. So getting into, you asked that question to begin with, what are we doing and what fuels us to keep doing what we're doing? And it is the drive of definitely innovation and kind of efficiency and safety. But at the end of the day, when these operators turn up to an asset that we're refurbed, they smile, and I could see it in their eyes that they're actually comfortable working around the asset. So nice. I wouldn't say my worst enemy to some of these places, and it's kind of, we've done a national kind of we did a media release probably 6 months ago, and we're trying to engage higher level government and kind of putting a little bit of pressure on more of the, not so much the water authorities. The water authorities need like kind of a bit of a boost with federal funding to help them with these aging water assets that they say they don't have budgets to upgrade, and where everyone's got the right in Australia to clean water, flush the toilet, and the guys that maintain that stuff to do it safely and efficiently. Right now we've got this decay of aging infrastructure where they're never going to catch up. And it's kind of budget restrained, bad management planning on our predecessors, but going back to that, there's still no excuse, right? You test and tag, if as a company owner and director, if I don't test and tag an electrical appliance, I say, no, we don't have the budget for that. I say it 5 times, if someone gets billed from that, I go to jail. So these government guys are really need accountability is the word.
Love it.
There is none.
Beautifully put. And I love how you say that one of your drivers is not just innovation, but it's the smile that the innovation causes, Paul. Beautifully put, mate. And I think I'm just going to make a comment just to everyone listening to this. You'll have a significant other somewhere out in the workforce. My wife's a train driver in coal, not transport, but it's people like Paul, it's engineers like Paul that design safer workplaces for all of our family members. 183 people on average lose their life in Australian workplaces each year, and that's a big number. And every one of those numbers is a stat. They've got a family behind them. There's all sorts of causal factors, but we need people like Paul designing safer workplaces. Now, the big question that I got for Paul is, how do you, let's put our influence hat on, Paul, because that's what we're talking about. How do you take, say, an operator's feedback, let's say, for want of a better word, And how do you influence someone senior in the organization when the operator says, I need this whole new system, I need this new design, and maybe it's, let's presume that it's a big change because let's say it's outdated kit or it's old kit or whatever. What are your influence skills, Paul? Do you just rely on regulations and say, well, you're legally obliged, or have you got another influence skill that you use?
No, it's kind of that, it cuts into a couple of things actually. Like you go, it's an integrity piece too, right? You're doing stuff when no one's watching. So what we're doing is in the background, helping the operators come up with these solutions, implementing them, and then it kind of filters back up to the top anyway, because they're going over, we're not educating them. We're actually just showing them what's right and wrong. What they're shown, and like it's like they've got bloody, I sleep with those, that's the eye mask on at night. That's what some of these people walk out of this place and what they see and what I see are two different things. So it's like, but I think the influencing thing, we got so good at down the bottom of the operators, and they didn't have a voice to the top. So can you imagine some of these guys that are lifting pumps out in the field and maintaining our critical infrastructure? They're too scared to have a voice. Like they're too scared to talk up to their manager or their supervisor and stuff. So we're kind of, as I said earlier, we've bridged that gap now where we've kind of flipped the switch here. We have our team that are still doing that, working with operators every day, doing this stuff, giving them a voice at the bottom. But then now we've come in over the top at the corporate level, where we are kind of thing. And one of the things that's happened in the last probably 12 months, we've kind of been trying to pioneer this standalone program through Australia where they separate access out of projects and maintenance to have a standalone kind of thought. So we've successfully got a contract. We haven't exercised a lot of that contract with the major one in Brisbane to sit across our whole business, whether it's planning, engineering, design, so that all these tier one engineering companies and construction companies, we're checking what they're doing. So what's going into these fixed assets for the next 30 years, so we make sure it is right, because even though they've followed kind of standards and all this stuff, it doesn't work. Like you're talking, there's no practical experience in the design where there should be. We're just bridging that gap.
Nice.
The guys, the engineers are doing the right thing. The operators have to do this sort of way, and we're sort of kind of bridging this gap. But influencing, I think, the hardest thing about this is awareness, and you'd understand that, and ignorance.
Yep.
I think you can influence all day. We're talking at all levels of these organisations, but at the end of the day, we've got, it's getting better and better. And I think the old dogs are moving out, the new ones are coming in, and we're seeing they're taking it serious and kind of common sense, not common sense, but they're going, why would you do that, not this? And it's a bit of kind of this younger generation. It's quite inspiring to see that it's not lazy what they're doing. It's actually going, why would you do this that way and not do it this way? And it's kind of refreshing. And we're seeing, and as the aging, I'm not nothing wrong with the great guys' experience, but we're seeing a lot of the younger guys come through now, and the newer kind of execs and managers are coming through with a little bit more safety and, and a little bit of proficiency. This isn't about putting red tapes on safety, as I said earlier. We're also saving our city's money by making things more efficient through operations for 30, 40 years. Like you're talking, you imagine servicing one thing a day, or if they go and do 4. It doesn't make sense.
No, I get it.
Yeah. So as far as influence, I think it's got to happen at all levels. Right. You do need to, it's like a game of chess, this. It's kind of, to make these changes, and you're doing multiple things at once. It doesn't just stop at one thing. Like, as if we have a contract, we have an exerciser, so we're going to go and push some buttons and levers and stuff everywhere now to try and navigate this thing, because there isn't any influence across our departments.
Gotcha.
So now we've got to go and influence every department and every person, and we're going to get blocks, and we're going to get bumps, so we're going to get thrown off, and we're going to get rejected. We're going to get why we're doing this, and it doesn't stop. That stuff never stops.
We call that the hustle, Paul. That's the hustle.
I
So, mate, here's a big question for you, and I love how you're weaving the word influence in, because I think it's just a big part of the work you do, because you have to try and affect change. How would you define the word influence, Paul? What does influence mean to you?
I would call it. I'd almost call it awareness and an ability to kind of accept and understand.
Oh.
And kind of navigate other people through that journey. That's what influencing is. Wow. I'd say influence wouldn't be a word if you just came and just stopped, right? It's kind of it's a massaging tool.
And a shout out to our sponsor for this episode, Les Moyer, the founder of No Limits to Success, a business consultancy dedicated to helping trades professionals and small business owners move from overwhelmed doers to confidence business builders. Click the link below to find out more about Les's work. I love that. It's a massaging tool. And what you said then, so you said there's this awareness piece, and then there's helping people accept and understand, and then take them on a journey. So really for you, it's really turning a light bulb on for someone. Like in your space, you're helping people sort of nearly have an aha moment, what they didn't know, and all of a sudden they're going to have new information. And that might take a little bit of time. When you say the word journey, it might not be one conversation, it might be more than one.
Yeah, it's like, and it's constantly, and it's kind of coaching from your background with where we're getting called at the moment, and that person has said, how many meetings have you had with the CEO in the last week? And it goes, last month, last year. You kind of look back at your diary and you're going, oh, not a lot of it. So I've made a conscious, effort to meet with at least probably 2 a week at the moment. And I met with another exec yesterday, and out of that conversation, we found I found a pain point in the conversation for him, and we have the tools to influence that change. So it's kind of, and that's what you're not looking for anything, right? We're adding value to him and his organization, and making this life easier. What can we do for him? And we've got our own kind of platform set up that's now with AI, with safe access condition assessments, and we've been building that platform for nearly 12 months. And we come back to, we can do all this stuff, but the adding value to that, to a customer, is he's going to be able to talk to this thing, and he's going to find that information out in seconds. Currently, he's got to go for about 6 people and 6 spreadsheets and to find that information. And it's kind of, adding that value and that influence to him, saying there are other things out there. Like, we can go on this journey together. And it's like this, it's hold our hands together and let's go. Like, that's what influence is, and going for the next person, the next person, the next person. Like, it's through an organization or through a team. So I would say it's that, mate.
Mate, perfect. I love it. And I hope that, a lot of our organization, community is business owners. And, I hope there's a lot of business owners listening to this, really picking up some of the stuff that Paul's saying, because there's a lot of underlying messages here. Add value first. Where are their pain points? What can I do? It's not always about just going in with a sale. It's about going in with the right intent to help. Now, Paul, back to influence. Who got you started in this, mate? Like, do you look back on your career and go, thank golly gosh that I met that one person professionally, or what more was it personally? Was it your family? Who influenced you along the journey?
I think if you go right back to the beginning, I think it'd obviously be probably my father. He's very entrepreneurial. You can tell he's got ADHD. Like, I had never diagnosed it. I've got mine pretty under control at the moment, so I'm normally like running around like a maniac, and I've been able to calm that down. But going back to the end, I mean, I've always been like, ever since I was a kid, I was always trading something, doing something. At 14 years old or 15 years old, kind of wakeboarding came around the early 90s, and I was water skiing, and so let's go and make our own wakeboards in Australia. And I've set up a little shed trying to do this stuff. And I'm only 14 or 15 years old. And then I'd go to my father's factory where they, fix big, heavy earth moving equipment. I'd start building go-karts and trying to sell them. I got myself into financial trouble every time I did it. So it's kind of, I'd do deals, and those deals weren't good, and I'd kind of have to get bailed out for a couple $100. So I think the growing up in a rural area as well, that was kind of a limiting fact. But putting it down to where that came from, it's always been there. And I think I wish there were the communication channels we have now. I probably would have got out of that a lot quicker than, working for people and being around that environment where there wasn't any kind of other options except for, I don't know if I grew up in a country area, it's like you either go to uni and you get a trade, like it's a trade. That's it. You work for someone, you do this, you do that, and you're kind of get belted down from the top from these bosses. You do this, this is all you're going to do. You're an idiot. You're doing this. Like you get this condition to what you are. And I'm like, I know in the back of my mind, I'm never going to do this for the rest of my life. I'm going to go and do something for myself. But it because there wasn't a flood of information that was available. Like I spent a lot of like younger adult life running around in circles going. And the thing about it is everyone can back themselves and do it. I encourage my staff all the time. I'm like, go and do something, or go and do something on the side. Encourage their wives, encourage their partners or them to go and do something. Like I'm not expecting everyone to stay with me and working with me. Like both companies are growing a lot at the moment, but it's, get out there and do stuff. Like, if you've got an idea and go and do it, if it fails, I have failures every day. Like there's firefighting, there's failures, but going back to the younger years, like you asked me, I don't ever regret anything, but I wish I'd backed myself a lot earlier. But I'm saying that I probably wouldn't be where I'm sitting today if I didn't, but I can't say that. I've never ever regret anything, but for anyone that's out there, and if I can influence one person from this thing to say, I listened to this podcast and this guy said, back myself.
Back yourself.
Like who like going back to those influential days of, where that came from. I think I was kind of born that way. I don't know why. I always wanted to do something. Like I love solving problems. I love making stuff and like doing, and I think every, entrepreneur wants to try and, do too much stuff. And I've learned that lesson. Like we try to like running a race at the moment, trying to build two companies together. It is difficult. Like we've got two different industries where we're pioneering a transport industry where we're turning shipping containers, traditional shipping containers into road transport. So they did that back in the 60s, with Malcolm McLean. Can you imagine shipping now without containers? That if you're loading a truck, ship up with, cattle and shit, and it'd be box by box by box, or just pallet by pallet by pallet. The ship would never leave. So we're just kind of pioneering that transport thing there. We're trying and pioneer this stuff the same. But what I'd say to everyone, and this is from coaching from our coach, like we've got to share coach here, Anton. I think he would say, focus on one thing, but he'd definitely say, take the risk and go, give it a go.
Mm.
I think that's one thing that, going back to those younger years, I wish I probably get back myself a little bit earlier. But that influence definitely came from that. And it's always, you're on a journey, right? You're a kid. You need the kid never grows out of you, and you don't need to grow up. You need to go and live that dream and just follow it. Like that's I think the biggest mistake that everyone makes is you condition to be a grown up. Remember the shit you used to like dream when you were younger. I want to go and do this and do that. Go and fucking do it.
I know. Where did that all go?
But
We lose that at some stage, Paul, don't we? Everything you just said then just sounded like my background. I'm rural for, outback Queensland. What town did you grow up in?
that's Umba.
Toowoomba, right. Well, I'm up in Gladstone.
Yeah. So it's the same thing. Exactly the same thing. It's just like you get thrown out of these factories out the back of the industrial estate. You got to go out to the farms, the power plants,
That's it.
all of its places and wherever. It's just this rural thing, and that's all you do.
That's
It's
it.
very rare that one out of probably 50 of those employees in that company are going to go and do it themselves because they've got the skills to do it. They just don't have the confidence.
That's right. That backing yourself piece.
And
I can look out my window here and see the big factory, and I'll give them a shout out QAL because they're just amazing. I really appreciate QAL, but like you say, it was a trade or uni, and so it was off to a trade. Because did you go to Toowoomba Grammar, Paul, by any chance?
I didn't. I went there for most of my high school.
Good on you. So I was nudgy.
Right. So all right.
Yeah,
Yes, boy.
What year were you born, Paul?
79.
75, right? So you're a few years. 79 or 5?
79.
79. Oh, 7 years difference. So it's a big gap. But I was there 88 and 89. Started my apprenticeship out there at 1990. And, I had a conversation with the principal who thought that it would be better if I received the rest of my grade 12 education at another institution. So we had a deep and meaningful about. And so
I got that as well, mate. So
oh, good. So we have got a very similar path. So it was off to do a trade, and since then I've done uni. But then those 1900s leaders, God love them at QAL, God love them. The whole, you're a dickhead, and you really really harsh leadership, and that's okay because that's the way it was back then. And but I think I'm the same as you, Paul. Back yourself earlier. I was 30 when I went into business for myself, coaching humans like yourself. And in the early days, I didn't know what I was doing. But now,
that's the thing. You're never going to look like if you look back at our business and our first product, and we it's got something we did do well. I suppose in the beginning is. We started the product, we didn't perfect it, we ran with it, and it's still not perfect. And I think this is a thing, everyone gets fixated, and our coach, or one of them, mine, which is one of yours as well, JT, is like, don't be in love with the product, be in love with the business part. Enjoy what you do, number one. Like, I love solving engineered problems. Like, I love helping our customers be more efficient and safe. And I like teaching people as well. There's one day I will get out of these clothes and, get and have that. We're pretty close to that. We're getting the corporate structure in here where I don't need to, be in these seats anymore and get back out the back and mentor these kids. Like we just this year, we do a lot of motor racing and sponsorship, and we've got Jaya Patea, which is a boxer. He's under the Road Pod brand at the moment. We're probably one of his major sponsors. We did that because, again, adding value to one of our customers who that asked us to hang on to it for another year. That they got the boss said we're going to flick in this year because no longer needing it. So they wanted to be still a part of it. So I took him on for from a customer, add value to them. We've got in Mass, we're supporting the Racing Together team for the Indigenous things. The first race team that's under Gary Conley. We're a part of that, and the reason why we got part of that is I was at the racetrack, and we up in Towers want to met all the kids that are involved with that and out of Norwell Motorflex. But it's kind of, I realised how much influence you can have if we talk about influence again. But these kids that have nothing, and it only takes like a brief 5-second conversation with them sometimes, and I won't say who it is, but there's some of the, they came up the other day, it was the Supercar champion said to me, I said something to him about 5 or 6 years ago. He said it just resonated with him and helped him with some stuff. And I'm like, mate, I was only just joking with that one line. We're just mucking around. And I realized how much influence you can have on someone. That stuff that we never had in these small towns. It's like, go to this racetrack, talking to these kids. And these kids are, mechanicking the cars, they're racing the cars, they're not, from doing that stuff. I've got into that, and I think, whatever I can give back, and, I can't give back to people that have done more than me, but, I can give back to, some of these other people that don't have that privilege and stuff. So we got involved with that. We got involved with Easy Next last year with a kid from the Gold Coast, as part of the road club, sponsorship as well, just getting behind him. It was more about helping him navigate some of the deals and stuff like that. It was, and
Nice.
kind of giving him some advice. It was never about again. And then we've got Super 2 this year with Nash Morris, just getting behind him. That's all about relationships. But we're really close to those guys, and
Love it.
everything's got to be having value. It's not just being. I don't even go to the races most of the time. For me, it's not about look at me, but side of the car. It's about adding value to all these people I'm raced in. There's a few other things too, but
no, I love it, mate. And would you believe that we sponsor or coach young Stevie Chant, who's a race car driver. She's an up and coming young female. So
amazing. What category is she racing?
Aussie cars.
And amazing.
Yeah, great. And it's green too, our company.
Nice.
So amazing. Yeah, really cool. We've been working with Stevie since she was 14.
What's her name?
Stevie rolled her car 8 times. Stevie Chant is her name. A mate Chant, little Chant Racing Club or something she's called, or Stevie Chant Racing. Amazing young human. I'm just so proud of Stevie, and got a message from her this morning. She's just been videoed. She's got a video of this 8 flip, 8 roll over the car thing, and she should have died, pulled out just before it blew up. And amazing. If you ever get a chance, track her down, watch her video online. She's she's a resilient little human. I wish, Paul, we could go longer, but mate, I have to shut this one down. I'll tell you why.
No problem.
Because it's got to upload before I get on the next one at 12 o'clock, and so we're gonna. Let's do a part 2 at some stage. Is that all right? Maybe.
Yeah, no problem at all. Thanks very much, Don.
Oh no, thank you. Now, Paul, very quickly, I'll just quickly do a recap. Team, you just heard from Paul Harazim, an amazing conversation. Here's 3 key messages. Back yourself was number 1. That was the big one for me. No matter what age, no matter what you're doing, if you've got a dream, if you've got a vision, don't give it up. Back yourself. Back yourself early too, by the way. Now, the next thing that came through, and Paul's big on this, and I love this, is add value. Just add value first. And that's one of our business ethos or values as well. Just be in service. And that's what adding value is, being in service. The other thing that Paul talked a lot about at the start of our conversation is safety. Save lives. Paul's business has saved lives, and that's a worthwhile pursuit, because everyone out there listening to this is either at work or has a loved one at work right now today, like I have. I've got a wife in the rail industry, and I always hope and pray she comes home safely. So massive shout out to Paul Harazim. Thank you for listening or viewing our Find Your Influence podcast with Anton Guinea. Another great chat. Please be one of the 10% of people who who follow and subscribe and like our videos so that you can get more of them and you can hear more of our amazing conversations, the conversations that I get to have and that I get to share.